is the Kowalski amplifier's rare earth germanium device, and it sounds like this. This pedal sounds really cool. So what is the rare earth? It is a germanium device. What is a germanium device? Well, it's a germanium pedal inspired by mid-60s fuzz tones. So your Mark 1.5 tone benders, your fuzz facers. It's basically a 2-transistor fuzz pedal. But where other pedals may try and go for kind of more authentic sounds, you know, try and copy the tone bender, try and copy the fuzz face, the rare earth is more about breadth. It's trying to cover a few different vintage tones and kind of create its own vintage inspired tone with just these 2 controls. So yes, it can get fuzz facey, it can get tone bendery, but there's a lot more that it can do. It can be an overdrive pedal, it can be a distortion, it can be like a weird sort of maestro Velcro inspired fuzz, just with these 2 controls and the switch on the side. So the 2 controls we have a swell and an expand, and they're really cool controls actually. Swell is your input gain and expand is your output gain. So input and output volume. I really like how these 2 interact with each other. And then we have the expander switch on the side. My understanding is that it basically boosts the volume of the output, because there are some really cool tones like those maestro ones I said earlier down below, like sort of down below 9 o'clock on the expand control. And without the expand switch, that volume is just not there. So flicking the expander switch, you get that volume back, but you can have that knob much lower. The other beauty of the switch is that when you do have your expand knob higher and you engage that switch, it's like all out warfare. It's really thickens out the tone. It boosts the front end of your amp like crazy. We'll get onto that shortly. Really cool pedal, vintage germanium transistors inside of here, really nicely built as well. Just a quick one before we get stuck back into some tones. If you're enjoying the video so far, it would really help me out if you would go down and click subscribe, like the video, even leave a comment. It all helps me out. About 90% of my regular viewers do not subscribe to the channel, and that would be really awesome if you're one of the 90% would go and hit that subscribe button. In fact, let me show you. Can you see that? 90% not subscribed. And that's regular viewers. So people who are click on my videos a lot are not subscribed. So that would really help me out. Let's carry on with some tones though. I've got my Heritage H535. We'll switch to some single coils later. Everything at about 2 o'clock is a good starting place, I think. So if I crank the swell, we're basically cranking the input. Winding it back, we're going to get some cleaner tones, maybe more overdrivey tones. I think that's a really cool sort of germanium overdrive that's more preampy than a typical overdrive sound, but I think it has a great tone and texture. Let's set the swell at about halfway and we'll experiment with the expander knob. crank it, we're going to sort of push the amp harder. But if we wind it back, it's very quiet, so we flip the switch on the side. As you can hear, we're starting to get some of those more maestro type fuzz tones. We experiment with the swell with that. So now we're pushing expand and the swell, but we still have the expand switch engaged, so it really fills out, pushes your amp harder. It's got to be done, hasn't it? Just for reference. Really interesting, actually. I can see from my waveform on my door that when we've got the pedals set like this, you're not really getting a decrease or increase in volume with the expand switch, but when the expander switch is engaged, it's compressing really, really cool, almost like a small tweed amp, and that sounds great. I can actually see it on the waveform as I'm recording. Really cool. So with it off, I mean, it's still very compressed, but it's ever so slightly more open sounding. Engage. Let's play some single coils. So let's wind things back. Start from the beginning again. I think with single coils, I do prefer the expand switch on. You can hear that change in tone a bit more with these. How does it clean up? All day long, all day long. That's a great sounding Germanium fuzz pedal. And I like that it's not specifically going for the fuzz face type thing or the tone bender type thing. Yes, the circuit might be similar, but there is so much more you can do with these two controls. And that expand switch on the side is excellent for boosting up some of those weirder, crispier tones. It cleans up really well. I really like the knobs. I really like the enclosure. What more do you want? Nice knobs, great sounds. It's a winner from me. Awesome.